This guy says you can't break an egg from top to bottom,
You won't break it. It's like that an elephant won't even be able to break this.
but I don't believe him. So today I'm going to be testing a bunch of viral experiments to see if they actually work.
So for the first experiment, apparently if you combine these ingredients together, it'll look like a snake's coming out of the ground. So to test this, I started by pouring some isopropyl alcohol into some fake sand, and then I added in 4 whole tablespoons of sugar. And then once all the ingredients were added, it was time to light it on fire to see if this actually works. But because of the wind, the fire kept going out. So after trying to relight it for 30 minutes, I could tell that this wasn't going to work for me, but I have a pretty good feeling that the next experiment will. For the next experiment, apparently you can use a piece of paper on fire to suck a balloon into a smaller container. To test the experiment, I started by blowing up a balloon, and then I lit pieces of paper on fire and then put them in the container. And right when I thought it was about to work, the fire actually burnt a hole through my balloon. For my next attempt, I put the piece of paper in as fast as I could, and I also tried to use a smaller balloon, which actually started working, but it wasn't quite there yet. For my third attempt, I actually decided to use a smaller piece of paper, and after putting in the paper, the balloon slowly was being sucked inside the container. And it turns out this experiment actually works. But I don't know if the next one will, because this video says that you can use a spoon to automatically put out a candle. To start the experiment, I drilled some holes in some scrap wood, and I used hot glue to connect the different pieces together. And once I was done with the structure, I taped this nail to the spoon to hopefully be able to hold on to the candle. And after hot gluing my finger, I glued the spoon onto my structure, and it was time to test if this video works. And even though it wasn't even close to working, I decided to try it again. So instead of bending the spoon at the end, I bent it in the middle. And I also shaved down the end of the spoon, just like they did in the video. And after gluing the new spoon onto the structure, it turns out that shaving down the end doesn't really work. So I put on a nail, and it was finally time to test if this actually works. And this time, it was so close, so I had to figure out a way that this could actually work. I started by changing the structure, using 2 dowel rods instead of 1, and instead of using a spoon, I used this can and a nail, and it was time to test for the last time if this would work. Which finally, it did. So for the next experiment, I'm going to be trying to make something called hot ice, where basically it's liquid until you touch it, and it turns into these crystals. To start the experiment, I poured baking soda and vinegar into this pot. And since it obviously wasn't a good idea to add it all at once, after adding a little bit at a time and cooking it, this is what I was left with. After that, you're supposed to add water and cook it some more, but that didn't really work, so I decided to just start again. This time I used a lot more vinegar and a lot less baking soda, and once I was done boiling it, it actually ended up looking a lot like what I was going for. So I scraped some of the crystals off the side and into the glass. And after filling up the jar, I put it in this bowl of water with some ice to hopefully chill. And then it was time to test if it actually worked. So I tried dipping the strawberry in it, and obviously this was definitely a failure. But I wasn't done trying this experiment, so I bought this thing called sodium acetate, which is basically what I was trying to make. And after filling 2 glasses with it, I was finally ready to test if this would actually work. And after sticking my hand in the glass, I started feeling it heat up. And for about 2 minutes, a bunch of these crystals were forming on the bottom. And don't worry, my hand's not actually stuck. But this is what the crystals look like, and I definitely say this experiment was a success. Alright guys, it's finally time to see if you can break an egg from top to bottom. Alright.